Chicano ideas. How's it going? Culture is power, history is knowledge. Let's talk about the United Farm Workers, Cesar Chavez. I did a video before. Is Cesar Chavez overrated? To me, he's overrated as pushed as an example of, yes, I get he did a lot for the United Farm Workers for better pay of people at the time who were citizens, Chicanos working on the field. But to me, on the video why I say he's overrated is because I say they push only an image of us being farm workers as a people when we have the Chicana movement, uh, Corey Gonzalez, like Ruiz Hernandez, who are people of education and push, why we got Chicano studies within the colleges and schools. They they were too nationalist for people to put their face as a Chicano culture, identity, image. So Cesar Chavez, go check out that video. Look for it. Is Cesar Chavez overrated? I give my opinion. But the United Farm Workers, I talked about this with Robert Anthony and Cholo Trucker. If you've seen the video, I shared it last week. But the United Farm Workers, this flag, I did a video about it. Hopefully you've seen it. Brown for the people, for the brown pride, for brown culture, for the unity, white for inspiration, black for the struggle. That's simple. We talked about the Huerga bird mostly. So 62 is when the Huerga bird came out. 65 is when the United Chavez started pushing the awareness of, organizing the farm workers. Let's start a union. Let's push and boycott and protest for better pay. Let's have health care. Let's get some type of better insurance plan while we work here. Let's get taken better care of. Let's not accept the minimal. Because at the time, Cesar Chavez was Arizona born. His family owned a farm and they lost the farm during the Great Depression. They came to Delano to start working on fields themselves. See, during this time, while Cesar Chavez was a kid and became an older teenager, he went to the Navy for a couple years. He said it was the worst time of his life, and the Navy actually, to the date today, they have a ship named Cesar Chavez, and Obama made Cesar Chavez his birthday, the last day, March 30th, of national recognition day. It's a nationally recognized. It's not a federal recognized. It's nationally recognized, but mostly amongst the Southwest, of course. So Arizona is where he was born, and he just grew up having this type of inspiration, I guess. But Cesar Chavez, was he a citizen? Yes, his family, this is who he was working with. So when you think about what would have time come to now, how throughout the time, he's known for starting the wet lines. His people were, known to go try to get Mexicans to join their protest. Stop working on the farms because us as citizens are fighting for better rights, and this could help you also. And it became pretty controversial. These wet lines, they say they would go wait and beat Mexicans up. It would get pretty bad. Who knows, how far they would take it, how far it was taken by Cesar Chavez's group. People are known to say that Cesar Chavez could get pretty grimy from reading, to put it in a hood way, he could be pretty rude. So when he was in Europe, he got this. This is when this wet line was pushed. While he was boycotting grapes, lettuce. See, what happened is he's known for grapes, the walk from Delano to Sacramento, right? But he started off by boycotting, protesting the small companies within these towns. So first, let's start with the wine company, the winery. We want better pay. Let's go to the lettuce company. Let's go to the tomato company, because you got to think there's different fields. There's a lot of Chicanos at this time who were citizens working on the fields. So it was more acceptable and possibly easier to say, hey, we want better pay as, citizens. And throughout the later years, it became harder because why? Citizens, Chicanos, did not want to work on the field no more. We think about the Chicano movement who pushed all this education and, let's try to be astronauts and teachers and more than farm workers. Because farm workers now, you got to think about how is he going to fight for better citizen rights for Mexicans that are not citizens. And wow, so one example, Arizona, the state he was born in, banned the boycotting and protesting by the United Farm Workers. So Arizona would not allow for people to speak up against, the grapes, the lettuce, the farming, and so they would get Mexicans to be able to fill these spots, and so that's where people say, who is Cesar Chavez? Look at what he did. But it's all, it's pretty, man. It gets pretty, on your own opinion. How do you see it? That's what it is. It's understandable a lot on why, but it's not understandable. Like if people say if these wet lines were as brutal as they say, if they were, who knows how many foods were out there waiting. Hey, they see foods crossing over, like I don't get, like they're just beating up Mexicans trying to cross over, don't come over, or are they beating up Mexicans, while they're working on the farms, while they were taking their place, people, these, so it's controversial how you feel about Cesar Chavez. Yes, he did a lot of cool things for the farm workers by starting a union, but nowadays and throughout even his time of being alive, it was, not relevant. We didn't want to work on the farms no more. You know, being on the farms is not, something that Chicanos are looking forward to. We want education now by the movement that was being pushed. So how would Cesar Chavez have taken it? How would he be if he would have lived longer? If most of the people were not citizens? If all these Mexicans were migrants without citizenship, would you be able to fight for better rights for them? That's why people don't understand. To this day, it was a different movement. It was citizens that were working in the 60s and 70s at that time, because Cesar Chavez was a citizen. Compared to nowadays, you got Dolores fighting for, or whoever was the organizers of the United Farm Workers right now, fighting for people who don't have citizenship to have better pay, to have better health care. So that's how it gets from that time to this time, you know. So other than that, culture is power, history is knowledge. What is your thoughts and point of view about us as a people still working as farms? And I give my opinion about that, and I'll make more videos about that. But education is power, culture is power, history is knowledge. Peace out. Chicano ideas.